Dawn Branchot loved whales more than anything. Her fascination with these gentle giants was more than just a childhood phase. It was a lifelong passion that shaped every decision she made. From a young age, she dreamed of working with these magnificent creatures. As a little girl, she would press her hands against the glass at aquariums, mesmerized by the orca's power and grace. She visited SeaWorld as a child and knew it was her destiny. The excitement of seeing the whales up close left a lasting impression, fueling her determination to one day join their world. Dawn worked hard, studying animal behavior and psychology, and became one of SeaWorld Orlando's most respected senior trainers. She dedicated years to learning not just about orcas, but about the delicate balance required to care for them in captivity. Her passion was obvious. She lived for her work with the orcas, especially Tilikum, the largest killer whale in captivity. Dawn's commitment went beyond training. She saw each whale as an individual, deserving of love and respect. Their bond was unique, built on years of daily interaction and trust. Dawn believed that understanding an orca's personality was just as important as teaching it new behaviors. Dawn was one of the few trainers allowed to work closely with Tilikum, performing routines that showcased their connection. Their performances were a highlight for visitors, demonstrating the deep relationship possible between human and whale. The Dine with Shamu show was her favorite, offering guests an up-close look at the relationship between trainer and whale. She cherished these moments, believing they helped people appreciate the intelligence and beauty of orcas. She explained orca behaviors and the importance of ocean conservation, inspiring everyone who watched. Dawn hoped her work would encourage others to protect marine life and the oceans they call home. On February 24, 2010, Dawn prepared for another show, ready to share her love for Tilikum, unaware it would be her last. She approached the day with her usual enthusiasm, never imagining the tragedy that would unfold. The stage was set for a day that would change SeaWorld forever, leaving a legacy that would spark conversations about the future of orcas in captivity and the people who care for them. The day began like any other at SeaWorld Orlando. Clear skies, happy families, and the buzz of excitement. The Dine with Shamu experience was a highlight, with guests dining beside the orca pool. Dawn, the lead trainer, greeted the audience with her trademark warmth and confidence. She introduced Tilikum, explaining this was a special relationship-building session. The show was gentle, focusing on subtle orca behaviors rather than high-energy tricks. Dawn cued Tilikum to wave, splash, and glide, delighting the crowd. After the show, as guests finished their meals, Dawn stayed behind for a private session with Tilikum. She lay on the submerged platform, talking to him and rewarding him with fish. A few spectators lingered, watching the quiet interaction. The sun was warm, the water calm. Everything seemed perfectly peaceful. No one suspected the tragedy about to unfold. In moments, the ordinary would become unforgettable horror. Tilikum's story began in the wild, icy waters off the coast of Iceland, where the ocean stretches endlessly and orca families roam free, guided by ancient instincts. He was born into a close-knit orca pod, surrounded by his mother, siblings, and elders who taught him the ways of the sea. In these early years, Tilikum experienced the bonds of family, the thrill of the hunt, and the safety of his pod's embrace. But at just 2 years old, his life changed forever. In 1983, he was violently captured, torn from his family and the only world he had ever known. The trauma of capture was immediate and severe. Tilikum's cries for his mother echoed across the water, but there was no rescue. Only confusion and fear. Sold to Sealand of the Pacific in Canada, Tilikum's new world was a stark contrast, a small, barren concrete tank, a far cry from the vast ocean he once called home. There he was housed with 2 dominant females who bullied him relentlessly, leaving him with little space to escape or find comfort. The confined space and constant aggression left Tilikum scarred, both physically and psychologically. Rake marks from the females covered his body and his spirit began to break. At night, the whales were locked in an even smaller pool, barely able to move. The stress and isolation only grew, night after night. Deprived of freedom, family, and natural behaviors, Tilikum was forced to perform tricks for crowds, his suffering hidden behind the spectacle of entertainment. Behind the glass, away from the applause, was a deeply troubled animal shaped by trauma, loneliness, and years of isolation. Understanding Tilikum's past is crucial to understanding what happened later. His story is not just about one orca, but about the consequences of captivity itself. Tilikum was not born a killer. He was a victim of captivity, a wild spirit broken by confinement and loss. His story stands as a powerful warning about the true cost of entertainment and a call to rethink our relationship with these magnificent, intelligent beings. Tilikum's captivity at Sealand was marked by tragedy. In 1991, trainer Kelty Byrne fell into the pool and was drowned by the 3 orcas, including Tilikum. It was the first human death linked to captive orcas. Sealand closed, and Tilikum was sold to SeaWorld Orlando in 1992, valued for his size and breeding potential. Despite a larger environment, his psychological scars remained. Trainers followed strict protocols. No water work with Tilikum, acknowledging his unpredictable nature. He sired 21 calves, becoming central to SeaWorld's breeding program. In 1999, another tragedy, Daniel Dukes, a trespasser, was found dead in Tilikum's pool. The circumstances were unclear, but Tilikum's reputation as dangerous grew. These incidents foreshadowed the risks of keeping such powerful animals in captivity. Tilikum's troubled history was well known to SeaWorld staff, yet he remained a star attraction. The stage was set for disaster. The Dine with Shamu show ended, most guests gone. Dawn remained on the platform, interacting with Tilikum as part of her routine. Suddenly, Tilikum grabbed her by the ponytail and pulled her into the water. The peaceful scene turned to chaos in an instant. There was no warning, no sign of aggression. Tilikum thrashed Dawn violently, dragging her through the pool. Trainers rushed to help, using alarms, food and nets, but nothing worked. Tilikum refused to let go, parading her body through the water. The struggle lasted agonizing minutes, with staff powerless to intervene. The attack was brutal and relentless. In those moments, the dangers of captivity became horrifyingly real. Panic swept through the Dine with Shamu area. Families fled, shielding their children from the horror. Trainers, desperate and helpless, tried every command and emergency protocol. Tilikum's size and determination made rescue impossible. Emergency teams arrived, but separating Tilikum from Dawn took nearly 30 minutes. Only after isolating him in a medical pool could they recover her body. The silence that followed was heavy with shock and grief. Paramedics could do nothing. Dawn was gone. News spread quickly, devastating the SeaWorld community. The park, once filled with joy, was now a place of tragedy. Guests were ushered out and SeaWorld Orlando closed its doors. The loss was profound and unforgettable. The illusion of safety had been shattered. In the days after Dawn's death, SeaWorld was overcome with grief. The park closed, staff mourned, and memorials appeared throughout Shamu Stadium. The tragedy forced a reckoning with the risks of working with captive orcas. OSHA launched an investigation scrutinizing SeaWorld's safety protocols. The central question: had enough been done to protect trainers from known dangers? SeaWorld defended its practices but suspended orca shows and reviewed procedures. Tilikum was isolated, his future uncertain. News of the tragedy sparked global debate about orca captivity. Animal welfare groups renewed calls for change, and the public began to question the ethics of marine parks. The smiling image of Shamu was forever changed. 3 years after the tragedy at SeaWorld, the groundbreaking documentary Blackfish was released, shining a harsh spotlight on the life of Tilikum, the orca at the center of the controversy. The film delved deeply into the circumstances surrounding Dawn Brancheau's death, featuring emotional interviews with former trainers who had worked closely with the animals and witnessed firsthand the challenges of captivity. Marine mammal experts and scientists also weighed in, revealing the profound psychological and physical toll that confinement takes on orcas, creatures known for their intelligence and complex social bonds. Blackfish reached millions of viewers worldwide, shocking audiences with harrowing stories of wild capture, family separation, years of confinement, and the resulting aggression and distress. The film directly challenged SeaWorld's long-standing claims of education and conservation, instead portraying the parks as businesses prioritizing profit over animal welfare. The public response was swift and intense. Attendance at SeaWorld parks dropped sharply, profits tumbled, and the company's reputation suffered. Major corporate partners began to distance themselves, ending sponsorships and collaborations. The so-called Blackfish effect became a public relations nightmare for SeaWorld. The company launched campaigns to defend its practices, but the damage was irreversible. OSHA cited SeaWorld for safety violations, banning trainers from entering the water with orcas. Legal battles ensued, but the ban remained. The era of trainers performing in the water with killer whales had ended. The world was watching, and SeaWorld's future was forever altered. The business of keeping orcas in captivity for entertainment was no longer acceptable to a growing number of people. The tide of public opinion had turned, marking a new chapter in the relationship between humans and these magnificent animals. Dawn Brancheau's death and the impact of Blackfish forced a reckoning for marine parks. The tragedy exposed the conflict of keeping intelligent social animals in captivity for entertainment. In 2016, SeaWorld announced the end of its orca breeding program. The orcas in their parks would be the last, no more would be born in tanks. Theatrical shows were phased out, replaced by educational encounters. The last captive orca calf, Kiara, was born in 2017. Activists continued to push for seaside sanctuaries, but the breeding ban marked a turning point. Dawn's legacy is complex. She loved the animals and believed in SeaWorld's mission. Her death forced overdue change, highlighting the dangers and ethical questions of captivity. Killer whales are not theme park props. They are wild, powerful, and untamable.